Thank you. The chair now recognizes Senator Warnock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you all might be aware that Georgia is known as the peach state, but climate change is threatening to put our state fruit at serious risk. This year, Georgia experienced a very mild winter, and then we got a late freeze. And this combination, kind of a 1-2 punch, wreaked havoc on our peaches. And experts from the University of Georgia estimate that 90% of Georgia's peach crop failed, 90%. Mr. Wingard, I know that South Carolina and some of the other southeastern states where you work grow a lot of peaches and other specialty crops similar to Georgia. Can you describe how the changing climate has affected production in the southeastern United States?
Thank you, Senator. I don't do any peaches. I'm a leafy greens guy, but I tell you what I know, and it's not much. They are struggling with climate change, or they're struggling with different patterns of weather, and we too have seen a significant decrease in peaches. I think our number's in the 60–70% decrease or loss. I think that can be addressed a little bit through some research. It's a long process to fix because peaches are about 3 or 4 years before you ever, peach trees are about 3 or 4 years old before you ever pick a peach. But there is a lot of research going on peaches. Dr. Worthington and I were discussing it before the hearing, and I think peaches and other crops that are affected by climate change can be bred to adapt to a new climate. I spoke earlier in my oral comments about the East Coast Broccoli Initiative, and that's essentially what that was about, is to get broccoli varieties bred that are adapted to the climate in the eastern U.S. as opposed to the southwestern U.S. I think research is the answer to that.
And we will only see continued climate change. That's not going away, sadly. And it will continue to cause uncertainty for growers, so research is important. But also, as we get the research, we've got to be nimble in our policy approach because the research isn't going to help us much if we're not able to apply it to our practices. So in 2021, Georgia produced 130 million pounds of peaches valued at $85 million. So when these crops fail at this large of a scale, it affects the producer. But we need to remember that the local economy also takes a hit. And so as we reauthorize the Farm Bill, do you or anyone else on the panel would like to speak to this, do you agree that our crop insurance programs need to be updated to better reflect the realities of climate change and avoid ad hoc disaster programs?
Yes. I think it's really important to recognize that if we're not talking about the root causes of climate change, and industrial agriculture being second as a root cause of climate change, we're doing a disservice to the discussion here today. So, technology is going to help us continue to adapt, but we can only adapt so far. There's a thin layer of the atmosphere and a thin layer of the soil that provides life to us humans on the planet, and we really need to engage in the practices to mitigate the effects of industrial agriculture and really transform the food system for all of our benefit.
So we need to give our growers the tools in order to manage the actual risks that they're facing, which has implications not only for them but for our economy. When I meet with Georgia growers, one of the issues they consistently bring up are the lack of options they have for managing risk. And one program they've come to rely on is the Tree Assistance Program, or TAP. TAP allows producers to replant bushes, trees, or vines that produce an annual crop loss due to natural disasters. Currently, the program does not allow producers to replace their damaged plants with improved varieties that are more resilient to disease or environmental changes and may even provide higher yields. Mr. Wingard, can you describe the challenges that this creates for producers, and is this something you think we should address in the Farm Bill or anyone on the panel?
Well, I'm not a peach farmer, and I don't do any trees, but I do think it makes sense that if you have trees or vines or bushes that are damaged, and you have more suitable or improved varieties to replace them with, yes, it makes sense to replace them, and it makes sense
And not to be
help.
forced to replant the trees that you know are not gonna work. Right?
That's correct, and you should do it before, you should do it, and in my opinion, you should do a little bit along the way, so you don't have to wait and do a large part of it at one time.
Okay. Thank you. I'm out of time, but I look forward to exploring ways we can make these kinds of technical changes in the Farm Bill that'll improve the prospects of growers and our economy. Thanks, Mr. Chair.